Welcome to today's webinar, Streamline Documentation and Collaboration with 3D Scanning. My name is Victoria from CSG, and I'm happy to introduce my colleague today, Lee Hao, who is a Matterport expert and also the first person to bring Matterport to Singapore in 2016. And also our two very special guest speakers today to come on screen. From Matterport, we have Bruce, Managing Director for Asia Pacific. And from Inspire Tech, we have Aaron, Business Development Manager for ASEAN. Okay, so for today's webinar, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them in the Q&A tab or the chat box and below your screen, and we will address them at the end of the session. So without further ado, I will now hand over the time to Lee Hao.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. All right, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Aaron. I think let me move on to the next screen. Okay, so I've got the easy job today, so I'm just going to do some basic introductions of everybody, and then I will hand off the heavy lifting to Bruce and Aaron. Okay, so the agenda for today, I will start with a brief introduction of CSG, and then what Matterport, Bruce will bring us through a exciting list of things that Matterport can do, namely what we call the digital twin, how Matterport is making AEC exciting, scanning in AEC very exciting as well. And I think towards the end, Bruce is going to show us some of the extras of what Matterport is. It's not just a walkthrough application. And how relevant it is to the AEC industry. After that, Bruce will hand over to Aaron, and Aaron from Inspire Tech, who will share with us what EasiShare is. I think we are actually looking at a few of us here in the AEC industry. And we all know how difficult it is sometimes to share files, especially big files. And if you're in the AEC industry now, Bruce will have talked a little bit about BIM and scan to BIM in his presentation. And of course, we all know how big a BIM file can be. And if you do want to share a BIM file across platforms, then there's actually no better way to do it than EasiShare. Okay, other than Bruce and Aaron, joining us today is from Matterport is Alex and Johans. They will be here, as the panelists, and from Inspire Tech, other than Aaron, we have Max. So this is our supporting cast. Okay, these are the people who will help us through with the question and answer sessions at the end of the day. Now, again, even though we have the Q&A session at the end, please feel free to type in the questions as we go along, because sometimes if you wait too long, you may forget, right? So just key it in along the way if you have questions into the question in the Q&A tab that you have. And then once we're done with that, I am going to give some really special treats to everyone who attended this seminar. Okay, this webinar, for your time, you will see how much your time is worth later. Okay, let me start with a quick introduction of CSG Software. CSG Software, we've been around for, it feels like ages now. We've been around for 20 over years. We've seen through recessions, and we've seen through pandemics. So let's put it, we are located out in several countries across Southeast Asia. That's where most of our businesses are being done and conducted. We are very much a solution provider. Okay, so I guess everybody can read. I'm not going to go through these numbers. What we want to do is, I guess, if a quick look at what we do. Like we say, we are solution providers, and CSG is really what we call a multi-brand type solution provider. So what we have is really the best of breed applications here. And for today, what we do have is Matterport. Again, if you look at what we have, our main focus is on the AEC industry. Okay, so if you look at the other products that we have, I guess the one that rings the most bells would be things like Autodesk, things like Oracle, you know. So these are products that are very, very entrenched in the AEC industry. So people who, and that's how Matterport also, with Matterport, I think Bruce will also talk about how Matterport works with Autodesk, Procore. There is some sort of integration in it. So we will have a look at it later. Now, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about EasiShare as well. So EasiShare is a company that does what we call the enterprise-grade private data security solution platform. So it allows users to organize and exchange files and for collaboration, and especially these are large files. So I think I'm not an expert in that. Aaron will be the one that will be bringing us through the show later. And that's about it on what CSG is. Right, I'm just going to go through quickly so that we don't bounce back and forth. Just a quick, because in case you're wondering the whole time round, right? For our webinar attendees today, the promo offer till the end of August, the 31st of August, would be a camera that is that will be at 3,788. It was on the SRP, it is 4,588. So you get $800 off this, and on top of that, we are going to bundle in with the free tripod and quick release clamps. Okay, so this is really a very attractive offer. Total over $1,000 worth. So if you are on the verge of thinking of whether you want to buy or not, this is there's no better time than now. So just let us know at the end of the webinar or tomorrow or whatever. Well, you have to end of August to decide. Okay, so with this, I will hand over to Bruce, and he will share with us what Matterport is. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lee Hao. Let me share my screen here. And just a quick thumbs up if you can see my screen. Fantastic. Thanks. Lee Hao, thank you so much. And it's great to be here. Thanks for this opportunity. 2016, that's when this relationship kicked off. So excellent. Just so happy. And I think today we're going to actually show so much that's changed over these last 5 years and 10 years since Matterport's been in existence. And hopefully, as mentioned, we'll answer a lot of folks' questions as we go through this today. I've got quite a lot of content. I'm going to get through some of it quite quickly, really to touch on a lot of areas that I know are should be of interest to many of you. So let me start out, because I know some of you are new to Matterport or know very little, and some of you have some additional exposure. So I'm going to start with the basics, and then I'll kind of go in and highlight some more details around this. So very quickly, the video that you see playing on your screen is a good illustration of the output from Matterport. So our technology enables you to very easily go on site with to be able to capture that physical location, and our technology will automatically stitch together and render and deliver back a dimensionally accurate, photorealistic 3D digital twin of that built space. So we're not importing a AutoCAD or a design file. We're actually creating a digital twin of the physical world, of the built world. And as mentioned, this is a dimensionally accurate 3D model that you can engage with in a variety of different ways. And we're going to talk today about different use cases, how clients are extracting value using their Matterport model today, and then what we're also going to talk about ways in which we can expand and extend that value into your organizations. So I've got 4 kind of topic areas I'm going to talk about, one of which is the growth that we're seeing in the adoption of digital twins and BIM. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to go into some specific use cases and examples around the AEC industry, because I understand most of the audience today is in that AEC industry. I'm going to talk about what we're doing in terms of expanding the value, and in really a view to the future of what Matterport's providing and the direction that we're going. Just one quick slide as a kind of credential slide about Matterport. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary a couple months ago. We also just recently listed on the NASDAQ, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So a very exciting milestone for the business. We now have reached over 330,000 customers in over 150 geographies. And it's our customers that have scanned more than 5.5 million spaces. And a space to us is a physical property or location. That could be a studio apartment in downtown Tokyo to a factory in Shenzhen. So a wide variety of different spaces that we are working with our customers and enabling them to enable. That equates to more than 15 billion square feet of space, by far making us the largest having the largest spatial data library in the world. With 15 billion square feet, I was told that that's 5 times the size of New York City that's been digitized. And the types of businesses and buildings that are being captured with Matterport and then used in a variety of different ways is quite large. So a lot of what we do is in the kind of residential and commercial real estate, but it goes far beyond that. So I mentioned a factory in Shenzhen as an example. So we're doing more and more work in industrial and manufacturing sites. We've got clients using this in the to capture telco sites, utility. We've got a client that's using us to scan water reserves and dams, hotels, large conference areas. So a wide variety of different spaces. What I'd like to do now is just quickly go into one example, just to kind of bring this to life for those that maybe have not seen a Matterport 3D digital twin, and just illustrate what you're getting with the Matterport technology. So I've chosen this. This is a university in the UK, or a building. It's the School of Architecture for Wolverhampton University in the UK. And they used us extensively throughout their renovation of their campus. And I'm going to highlight a couple of neat things that they've done just to bring this to life a little bit. So the first thing you see on your screen here is what we call the dollhouse. So this is actually the colorized point cloud that you can interact with. The great thing about this is this gives you an immediate sense of size and scale of that property. And unlike you don't need a separate license for this. This is simply a browser and an internet connection on any device, mobile device, a tablet, or your workstation at home or in the office. So again, making this really easy for anybody to engage with and use. You'll also notice there's a couple other ways in which I can engage with this. I can go to a floor plan view. So now like an aerial view looking down. I can select a particular level if I'm interested. You can see this client is also added in some labels so that we can see the different areas. They've even included what we call our matter tags. These are basically almost like little asset tags that you can add in. And inside of those can be a variety of different content. So this could be including image information, PDFs, links to schematic drawings. It could be punch lists or snag lists. You can use those the matter tags in a variety of different ways, really to bring to life additional value for different use cases. In addition to that, I can click into any space I want, and now I'm inside the model, in the 3D model, and I can now navigate and walk through the space and inspect it as I need to. Because this is actually a 3D model, you're actually interacting with kind of 2 models at once. You have this high resolution photorealistic imagery, but also sitting behind this is actually a 3D mesh and it's in a point cloud. So there's actually the 3D geometry is sitting alongside with that virtual walkthrough. And that 3D geometry can actually be extracted separately. And we'll talk about this because I know there's interest in how can I use this, say, in my design workflows, in using it inside of Autodesk and other things. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And unlike standard just 2D photography, I can actually walk through the property and I can navigate and inspect it as I wish. And this gives me a couple different things. One, very easy to share this and collaborate with a wide variety of users, allowing folks that maybe physically can't get on site, especially in the time of COVID, now being able to have that virtual walkthrough. And again, unlike 2D photography, I'm not flipping through photos and trying to figure out where they are, I have this ability to, again, navigate and walk through the property as I wish. In addition to this, because this is high resolution imagery, maybe this isn't the greatest place to look, but let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to zoom in on this, this lift here to illustrate the quality of the imagery that you can get. So this was captured with a Matterport Pro 2 camera, 134 megapixel high definition imagery that's extracted here. As you can see on your screen, you can read the information here. And also keep in mind, you're viewing this via Zoom. So Zoom is actually compressing the video and compressing this image. So what I'm seeing on my screen is a higher quality of definition than what you're seeing. And I know, having seen it on the other side, it's pretty impressive, even with Zoom's, even though that Zoom has compressed this. So a great way of, again, getting this kind of high resolution experience with Matterport. And again, I'm not limited to just one or two vantage points. I can walk through the space. Also, because this is a 3D model, I can actually engage with it and take measurements. So if I'm interested in measuring any aspect of this, so maybe the clearance here, I can just simply take out our measurement tool and take some quick measurements. If I'm interested in the ceiling height, I can do that again just with a quick click of the button, and I can see that. If I want to double click underneath where the ACAV is, I can see what the height is there versus the actual ceiling height. Again, lots of different use cases that I'll illustrate in a minute. The other thing I wanted to show you with this space, because this client, they were taking Matterport captures throughout the construction work cycle. So they had at various different milestones. So at the end of the electric and plumbing being put in place, so that they have captured before all the solid walls went up, so that when they did a scan at the end, so this is what it looks like today. This is that same corridor, but now completed. So I now have the ability to basically have kind of X-ray vision. So if I'm interested in where all the ductwork is in the hallway, if I'm looking at it today, I don't know where all that content is. And so without having to potentially drill holes and disrupt compressed air tubes, conduit plumbing, whatever it is, I now basically have X-ray vision, because I can go back to this three-dimensional model. I can see exactly where everything is. I can take measurements in from the wall to see exactly where I may need to go into that space if I have to do some maintenance work or design work or construction work. So really a neat use case, what this client has done in terms of capturing it throughout the build cycle, and then at the end of it, having this interactive model that they can transfer into their facilities management and property management teams. And again, some really neat things that they have done. Let me go back into the presentation slide. In addition to that example, we've got some really cool clients that have done some really cool and innovative spaces. And I'm just going to quickly touch on these to kind of show you the breadth of what's possible when you think about the built world. So it isn't just commercial and residential properties. The example on the top left, that's a 18-story tall renovation of a Bank of Italy, completely gutted down to a cold shell. So captured with Matterport, a really neat model, going in and being able to look at that. They've used it to help streamline their engagement with subcons, for the general contractor, getting paid as they're going through kind of key milestone-based invoicing, and using this as documentation for the sign-offs. The middle example is a substation, electrical substation. Again, a further example of using Matterport. The top right is an example of an engine room of a container ship, or I think it was a container ship, actually in Singapore. So an example here, being able to capture the vessels as well. Again, in the time of COVID, or in the case of, once that ship is out at sea, how are you going to be able to kind of effectively remotely support if you don't have some good visual references to be able to use? Bottom left is a car manufacturing facility in China. We scanned actually the client ended up scanning their entire production throughout the entire campus. An amazing, huge scan. The one in the middle, which it's hard to read, but that's actually a tunnel network. I think that's in Australia. That was scanned with Matterport. There's an airplane fuselage that you see in the bottom middle. And then on the right, we're doing more and more work in the insurance and restoration industry, documenting and capturing impact from tragedies of fires and water damage, et cetera, for that, to drive some streamlining into the insurance workflow. So just some further illustrations of what's possible with Matterport. If I pivot a little bit and talk about the kind of use cases and how clients are extracting value, the way we look at this is that really across the entire property lifecycle, there's an opportunity to leverage a digital twin to unlock additional value in your business, whether that be top line revenue growth or operational efficiencies, cost efficiencies, time reductions, SLA improvements. There are lots of really exciting, tangible ROI examples that we're facilitating and enabling for our clients. And really, when we look at this, if it's in the design workflow, for example, being able to get on site, quickly capture an existing facility, say it's for a renovation or a remodel, being able to extract that 3D data, put that into your design workflows, so into ReCap, then into Revit. Again, rapidly accelerating that time. No more, reducing or removing the need to send out somebody to take manual measurements and manually put together the schematics of that location. We can automate and streamline that process. And we've seen clients talk about 60% time reductions, 400% time reductions. Really depends on what you've got in that workflow, but certainly adding a tremendous amount of value. And that means faster time to market, reducing your operating costs, reducing rework, and especially now, again, in the days of COVID, when it's more and more difficult to get on site, especially if you're dealing with projects that are outside of Singapore. So tremendous unlocks we're seeing there. Documenting the build, the construction, as I was showing you in that earlier example with Wolverhampton University, documenting the construction progress, helping to streamline and engage with the ecosystem of subcons, reducing rework, reducing the need to go back on site because you've got this ability to, again, inspect the site virtually without needing to physically travel. Again, lots of examples of where we're extracting a lot of value or helping our clients extract a lot of value. Certainly the promotion, this is one of our kind of core areas where really Matterport started. If at the selling and leasing of property is certainly still a core area for Matterport and where we're doing a lot of work. The operate, the facilities management, property management. So I think on this call, we have a lot more on the design and build folks, but if you are involved in property management or facilities management, or if your customers are looking as part of your handover documentation, so if you finish a project and you're handing it into the building owner or the operator, Matterport can be a great asset as part of that. So you're handing over a series of time-lapse digital twins of that build, so you can go back in time and see things. You have a way of documenting exactly what you handed over, rather than a collection of photos. You've got this 3D model that gives you the entire site. That example I was showing you earlier, you can embed using those matter tags. You can embed your schematic drawings. You can embed additional content for your facilities and property managers, or again, just as that handover document. And then lastly, we are making tremendous inroads in helping and unlock value in the insurance and restoration ecosystem, which is just a kind of an exciting new area where we're seeing the value of digital twins. And of course, on the outside, you can see all the different kind of industry areas that are leveraging this. I did mention 330,000 customers around the world and growing. In fact, we're adding, if I'm not mistaken, we're adding close to 250,000 new spaces every month. No, every quarter, I think that is. What we're seeing is just tremendous growth in this sector. And why that's important to highlight is people are now really recognizing that there is great opportunities of leveraging a digital twin in your workflow to drive additional value. And it's, COVID has obviously been a catalyst for companies to wake up and recognize that using digital solutions can help drive in these times of need. But what we're also seeing is that it's disrupting the industry in a positive way. And this is not something that's going to go back once travel opens back up again. We're seeing the ROI, the tangible business outcomes so meaningful for these organizations that this is something that we're going to see continue to grow and develop over time. One of the questions that was asked is, great, I can see the amazing interaction you get with a virtual tour with Matterport and that ability to kind of capture that 3D information, but what about when I need to use this offline and I need to put this into my design workflow? I think when we kicked this off, there was a question that had come in asking about how do I put this into that design workflow. So this is just a quick illustration. There's more content online, and CSG will be certainly able to help you understand this process in greater detail. But at a high level, I'd like to illustrate how this is possible. So with Matterport, as I mentioned, you're not just capturing that high resolution imagery and getting that 3D digital twin. Actually, sitting behind that is the geometry, the 3D data that's associated with that space. And that information can be extracted through what we call as a matter pack. The matter pack includes a .xyz and a .obj, so you have your 3D mesh and your point cloud. That information can then be extracted and then used offline in your design workflows. The video you see here, one of our clients put this together where they've taken the matter pack data, put it into ReCap, converted from ReCap into Revit. And now what they're basically doing, as you can see here, is basically tracing over top of the output from Matterport to drastically accelerate the ability to create your 3D model, your Revit model. So this is in the public domain. We'll happily share this video. You can see how the process works with the clients that are leveraging this to accelerate that conversion into whether it be a 2D or a 3D model that you want. So yeah, again, really exciting work there. The other aspect, just if you guys are using Autodesk, is that we do have through our API an integration with BIM 360, so you can view your Matterport model directly within the BIM 360 portal. The little screenshot on the bottom right is an illustration of that. So more than happy to talk later on in greater detail about this if you need more information. Kind of building on top of that, it is about this extending the ecosystem and leveraging your 3D model in a broader context. So it's great, with CSG highlighting earlier on as a reseller and strategic partner with Procore and Autodesk. We have direct API integrations with those two applications, as well as some other applications that you may be using in your business today. And we're going to see this kind of ecosystem or extensions into other complementary solutions continuing to grow over time. So I'll summarize a little bit about kind of the value that we're unlocking, especially in the AEC industry. So one is about this being able to capture the dimensionally accurate site for your design workflows, for just your design work and taking that to market. Being able to collaborate and instantly share with a wide set of stakeholders, property owners, subcons, whoever it may be, being able to do that to drive efficiencies in workflow, reduce rework, reduce time on site. There's a lot of different examples around that. Get paid faster. Again, milestone-based invoicing, being able to illustrate what you've done, getting that documented and over to the end customer. And certainly streamlining either BIM or into your 3D data assets that you may be using as part of that handover. And again, lots of value that's being extracted from that. I'm going to change into a little bit of a kind of a feature discussion now, because I want to highlight a few more kind of features that that we've recently launched, but also something about the partner ecosystem for you. So what you see here is a new feature that we launched a few months back called the Blur Brush. One of the questions that came up, if you are capturing any confidential information or information at the site that needs to be protected, we have this opportunity, or you have this opportunity to go in and actually manually blur and permanently protect that information. So it's a feature that's come out of requests from customers. And a new feature that we're going to be launching very soon is called Notes. It's a way to collaborate with stakeholders directly inside your Matterport model. So I talked about those Matter tags where you can add additional content, PDFs, videos, etc. The idea about notes is you can actually do this in a collaborative way. So I could go into a note and tag Lee Howe. We need to look at the, which table we should use here. I'll just use an example there. Tag that. Lee Howe would get a message indicating that I've tagged him in a model with a question or something. He can go in, directly click into that, and it will drive him directly to that model and to that location. And again, you can have this kind of threaded discussion directly within Notes. This has been as a direct response to clients in the AEC industry in particular, on the design and the build area, as well as in the facilities management. So we're really excited about this new feature. We've done some initial beta with an extended set of customers, and we're going to be taking this to a public beta very soon. So more to follow on this, but excited about that. The last thing I want to talk about is now the expansion. So that's great, that Matterport has all this, and we're certainly unlocking a lot of value for our clients, but we're not done yet. This is just the start. So we've launched a development toolkit. This is an API or APIs and an SDK that's allowing our customers, third-party developers, and the broader ecosystem to be able to build applications on top of Matterport. And there's a whole bunch of different things that are possible through the SDK and the API. Top example is an integration with IoT sensor data. So you can take dynamic data, directly overlay that into your Matterport model to create a visualization of, say, dynamic data. The bottom example is virtual staging. So dropping in 3D data assets directly into the Matterport model. So this could be for home staging, as the example here. If you're doing a refit and a renovation, putting in, we've seen factories use this where they're taking a 3D model, 3D asset, say of a new, production element in the production workflow, being able to put that into the model to see how it's going to fit in. Again, some really neat things we're seeing around that. Retail clients using this to use like planograms and create and engage training sessions. So a lot of companies are now looking at this. When you can't get centralized training, bring people on site, you can now actually start to use your 3D model to create engaged and interactive ways to create more training for folks. Integrate, these are just quick examples here. Example on the right, integrating live streaming. So obviously when you're capturing a Matterport model, you're capturing a moment in time. So that's what it looks like at that moment. Well, if you want to bring in dynamic content, so streaming video as an example, you can do that now. So while the Matterport model is that moment in time, you can bring in this kind of streaming content or dynamic content directly in that. On our website, we have a section that is going to continue to grow with our partners. So under the platform section, there's a partner page that we just recently launched, and we're going to be adding more into that. We've got an incredible growth of developers building third-party applications on top of Matterport. So this is, I think we now have 400 companies or developers that have requested the API and the SDK access. And these are the 6 quick examples of applications that are now been built, again, on top of Matterport. So things such as wayfinding, top left is looking at your design versus your as-built, like time-lapse, interacting with it in a VR mode. The one in the middle, you can see virtual staging, being able to drop 3D assets into the Matterport model. The one on the right, wayfinding, really innovative company out of Austria that's not only done wayfinding, but they've actually integrated this into facilities management. So they're taking, if you need to change a filter, an air filter on a particular device, can show you where to go, and then directly using the AR component, be able to bring up the installation guide. So some really neat things happening there. Again, you can see the illustrations bottom right, bringing in like avatars to walk you through a museum or through a large space. And the list goes on. This is really just the start of this partner ecosystem that's drastically accelerating the applications and the value for our customers. And what this really is all about, it's a transition that Matterport's making. We spent the last 10 years digitizing and capturing the spaces, and that with building the technology to be able to do that. But we want to go further. We want to raise the bar on it. So one is, yes, we want to continue to digitize the built world. we feel that maybe only 1% of the built world's been digitized. There's 4 billion buildings on the planet, 20 billion spaces. So we have a long way to go to digitize everything. But in addition to just that, it's extracting more value. So raising the bar in terms of looking at the data side of this. So understanding the data or the content of the spaces to be able to do more things. And what you're going to see in the future with us is how do you take that and understand the content of the spaces to be able to extract even additional value. You can imagine interrogating. I want to know, I've scanned a large commercial facility, a factory, a school, a library, and I'll just take the example at the top right there. I want to locate all sprinkler heads. Well, through our AI engine, we have the ability to train to look for what is a sprinkler head and then being able to automatically identify those. So you think about all the things that unlocks, whether that be from a fire code compliance checks, whether it be a safety checks, just a wide variety of different applications that this is going to surface. So one of the things you're going to see with Matterport as we go through this evolution of digitizing and capturing spaces into creating additional value on top of that, extending the applications, and then being able to leverage that, the understanding of the spaces moving forward. If you're interested in learning more about our future, the direction that we're going, please take a look at on our website. We have an investor page. We put this together on the run up to our NASDAQ listing. There's an interesting video. It's 90 seconds long that talks about the vision and direction that we're going on. And there's some additional information if you'd like to learn more. And certainly feel free to reach out to Johan and to Alex if you want to know more about kind of the direction that we're heading. And certainly CSG can help us help you with any of your needs today. So with that, I will transfer and pass this over to Aaron.
Thank you, Bruce. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, no. Okay, just let me. Yes?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, let me get rid of you guys. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you, Bruce, again for the very animated presentation. Okay, we're doing the grunt work here, right? So my presentation is not going to be as animated or as sexy as Bruce, but we are like the plumbing system here where you need to transfer files, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here. So let me give you a quick background information on the company itself first. Let me. Okay. Oops. Okay. Right. The company is called InspireTech. We are established in 2000. Our headquarters here is in Singapore. We have an office in India and we have an office in Dubai. Our development centers are actually in Russia and in Indonesia. So on the bottom, a very quick overview of the products that we have. When the co-founders started the company, they were building SMS platform, right? So you have one on-prem and one cloud messaging platform. It's obviously no more just SMS. You have a Telegram now, you got WhatsApp. So it's actually a omni-channel messaging platform. The names will be actually they're undergoing corporate rebranding at the moment. The one in the middle, Giga Central, that is a tiered file server storage backup solution. And the one that I'm going to be concentrating today is on EasiShare, right? Spare me. Okay, so if you ask me to describe what is EasiShare in one sentence, I would say you think of it as a Dropbox, but ours is the enterprise-grade file security solution, right? So in fact, this solution came about, just to give you a little bit of information on the solution itself, this solution came about because the Singapore government wanted a private Dropbox. So our co-founders took up the challenge to build this private Dropbox for the Singapore government. So which is why EasiShare now is actually the #1 file sharing and collaboration platform used by the Singapore government agencies. So the question, sorry, just to give you a quick overview on the customers success that we have here. Obviously these are all household names to you guys. On the left-hand side is all the government agencies. And on the right-hand side is some of our commercial successes as well, right? Okay, so the question becomes is how do we actually safeguard your data? So we do it on 3 levels. So you got the security, you got control, and you got visibility. On the security side, so it's not just pure security. We do have some digital rights management features as well, some data loss protection features as well, right? So now as your AEC firms, right, for you guys, you'll be needing to send large files, okay? So you're no longer sending files physical or even as a file attachment because they're too big to be sent as file attachment. You're actually sending them as a link via HTTPS. And then the files are actually encrypted at rest and in transit, okay? So not only that, let's just say you may have some sensitive information like your contract example, right? So, and then you're needing to basically verify, or even some of your intellectual properties, right? So all the things that you have. You can say, I want to have to be able to verify the identity of the recipient before they can download the document. So what we have here is actually a OTP2FA. So basically, when you click to download the document itself, you will be prompted, a PIN number, sorry, will be sent to your mobile phone. You input the PIN number before you can open the document itself. And let's say if it's something that is so important that you actually do not also want your client to be able to download the document or even to print document, we have this feature called the view only mode. So basically, when the client press open, the recipient press open to download the document to read, you will see a watermark splash across the whole document itself, right? And there would be no functionality buttons for the recipient to print or to download. Another digital rights management feature we have is we actually have a link expiry. I can say I'm going to allow you to have only up to 1 week to read this document and to download the document. I can also limit the number of times that you can download the document. So these are all on our security, digital rights management, data loss protection kind of features. On the control side here, basically what we're saying is you're now basically granting the granular access to the users, right? You set policies at the company level, but what we also saying that you can actually let the users set policies as well and permission. So this is especially important with as with AEC, right? So AEC industry, you guys are doing lots of collaboration work with your project managers, your contractors, right? So in the folder itself, when you set out share the folder with all these team members, they may not even have to have the same permission. Some of the team members may not have the permission to download documents. Okay, they can do the edit work, but they cannot download, or they are not allowed to delete the documents, example, right? So you can set various permission within the project group itself for different members. Okay, so that's on the control side. Last but not least, the most important one here is on the visibility here. So basically, visibility here, we're talking about the most important thing is for you to track, right? So I'm tracking the file activities here. So I'm basically answering all the W questions, right? Who sent what file? When did he send? Where did he send from, right? So all these W questions are all captured inside the audit logs. So this is to show compliance also with your security and your compliance regulations, example, right? So if it's a highly regulated industry, they do need that. The other thing that we don't do is not only do we just capture the user activities, we also capture the IT admin activities, right? So IT admin may be the one who is giving permission to a certain user, to a certain folder, or IT admin may be doing the user creation. So all these IT admin activities are also captured, right? Okay, hold on. Okay, The additional benefits of EasiShare here. So where we differ from our competitors is at the air gap architecture here. Because the Singapore government, they wanted the most secure architecture. So air gap, I do have a drawing of that later on, I'll show you. But very quickly, just to say, air gap architecture, basically you're sending your data from the higher security zone to a lower security zone, one way via SFTP or data diode. Okay, the other thing that I have also is what we call a admin recycle bin. So basically, now you have a two-tier recycle bin. All the users basically have got their own personal recycle bin. When the user empties his or her recycle bin, all the documents actually flow into the admin recycle bin. So the administrator here now has the opportunity to retrieve the file if needed before they are permanently deleted, right? So the other thing that I also have is what we call the true type file validation here. So it could be your company policy is I do not allow you to upload certain file type, right? Let's say maybe an executable file, .exe. And then you got a smart aleck within the company thinking that, okay, let me be clever. Let me change the extension of this file from a .exe to a Word document, say to .doc, thinking by changing the extension of the file, I can fool the system. So EasiShare will actually analyze the contents, right? The structure, and then we'll say, actually, no, despite you naming it as a Word document, it is actually another file type that is not allowed within the company policy. We will not allow you to upgrade this, upload this document. I beg your pardon. Okay, so on the right-hand side here, when I say unified experience, what am I referring to here? Basically, one of the things that we hear often from our customers is how easy it is to use EasiShare, right? So EasiShare, when we designed this, we had users in mind. It is based on the Windows File Explorer. So it's very intuitive. Everybody knows how to use this Windows File Explorer. So you don't need to teach them how to use the tool itself. The other thing I would also say is we are storage agnostic, right? So you think of EasiShare as being a middle layer here. I'm connecting to all the storage environment that you have within your firm, right? So we are proud to say we cover about 90% of the storage environment out there. It could be your CIFS, your cloud storage example, or your S3, right? Your local drive example, right? So I do have connectors to connect to all these storages. Now, the last two I want to point out, versioning check-in, checkout check-in, and selective sync. These are especially even relevant now, especially when you're working from home also and also doing project work, right? So checkout check-in here, by which I mean we do offer a file locking here, right? So basically you have you can lock the files within the project group itself. So anybody who sees that this file has been locked, they know not to open up this document so as to prevent any version conflict, right? So when the person who's doing the edit finishes and save the document, then the lock will disappear. And then all the other team members will know that this file now is ready for the next person to do the edit. Now, we also got versioning, whereby let's just say you have already done up to 10th version of this document, and you decided that the latest version is not what you want to roll back to maybe the 8th version, right? So then we do offer you the ability to restore back to the previous version if you choose to. Now, selective sync here, basically what we are saying is you can choose document folders from your laptop, from your PC, and say, I want to sync all these important things back to the central repository, right? And let's just say you're working on a contract, working out in a Starbucks cafe example, you have no connectivity there. You just happily do your work and then save it. As soon as you're connected to the Wi-Fi or back to the corporate network, whatever that you have saved will be synced back to the central repository. Okay, here, so large files, which is very typical of the AEC industry, right? So the files are all too big to be sent by email or other means. For EasiShare, we already tested up to 100 GB. There is no problem. In theory, there is no file size limit to what you can send. Okay, I'm not going to jump to the use case on this large file. So this is with the Central Bank of Singapore, MAS, right? So they have 3 pain points. Number one is they want to be able to share large files, in this case, more than 10 GB. The second thing is they want to verify the identity of the recipient. So this is the OTP that I'm talking about, right? The PIN number that is sent to your mobile phone. Also in our, we have also just recently rolled out Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, and if this is for the Singapore customers, we also have successfully integrated with SingPass. So HDB is the one that is using SingPass for you to verify the identity of the recipient. Okay. And last but not least, important for the central bank is to be able to have a comprehensive audit log of all the file activities. Okay, I'm just going to show you a quick video here on how we share files. Just bear with me. Okay, so the first one I'm going to be using is we are going to show you with EasiShare. There's various ways of you doing it. You can either use a desktop agent or you can use a web browser, right? So in this case, or even through an Outlook plugin. So I'm just going to quickly show you here the three various ways of sharing a file. So essentially, you need to put in the name and the email address and the phone number of the person, the mobile number of the person, if you want to use the OTP function here, right? Then the other thing that the other DRM features that we have here is example like the file, the link expiry, right? So I can say I'm giving you 1 week to download this document example, or I'm giving you 2 attempts to download this document. And last but not least, that I was mentioning to you just now was on the share with view only mode, right? Whereby you're not giving the recipient the ability to download or to print the document. You are literally only allowing them to view the document, right? So yeah, so the video is coming to an end. Literally, there's 3 ways for you to send: via email, via desktop, or via Outlook plugin, right? Okay, so secure collaboration here. So this is what we're talking about here, especially for you guys, right? The AEC industry, you guys doing lots of collaboration work here. So you're managing a folder. And I was mentioning just now, you can give different permission types to the different users, okay? The other new features that we had added in recently is monitoring the folder. So you could be, say, I want to monitor if anybody uploaded any document to this folder, and then an email will be sent to you to prompt you that when somebody has added a new folder, a new file into the document, you will receive an email notification, right? Or you can say, I want to be notified if anybody has deleted any document, or I want to be notified if anybody has made any changes to a particular document. So all this monitoring, you can set it up. The other thing that we've also included is the workflow approval here. So whereby what I'm trying to say is, these are documents and I need you to get my approval before you can send them out to external parties, right? So you set up an approval here. And then when the user, the people with the project teams want to send out this file, you will receive an email alert detailing who wants to send what file and what is he set any parameters to the delivery. And then whether you approve or reject the sending, okay? So I've got a use case here for the JTC. They are the, household name for you guys, okay? So in this case here, they are using our EasiShare to collaborate with the external vendors here for all the ad hoc projects that they're doing, right? So again, these are all large files, and for them, authentication is also very important for them, for their internal and as well as their external users, okay? So I'm going to have a quick video here to show you how we do the manage folder. Yeah, so basically you choose the file that you want, the folder that you want, and then you basically click on the person's name, and then you can give him the various permission there, depending on the role itself, okay? And then you can even choose a folder expiry, right? Say if you know when the project is going to end, you can put an expiry date, or you can put a quota also to the folder, so as that you can, you don't want anybody to really upload a document, any document into the folder itself, right? You basically want to be able to control the storage of that folder. Okay, last but not least, on the smart sync and backup here. So basically this is mainly a digital DLP feature here. So as I was saying just now, right, you can do the offline edit, and then when you are back online, you can sync all these documents back to the repository. So with EasiShare also, we have what we call Delta Sync. So let's just say you already saved a document and now you made some changes to it. What we do is we do not have to save the whole document again. We literally only will save the changes that you have made to the document itself. So what we're trying to achieve here is to reduce the bandwidth consumption, right? So, or you could be a site, a construction site, uploading a document or downloading a document, and there was a disruption to your connectivity here, right? So not to worry, what EasiShare will do is when you are connected back on, right, EasiShare will resume the upload or the download at the point of the interruption, not from the beginning of the document itself, okay? So again, you're reducing the bandwidth consumption here. Lastly, also, let's just say you're using a iPad, stolen iPad, or your laptop crash, right? So not to worry. All you need to do is you get a new, fresh, a new equipment, and then you just basically install back your EasiShare. Anything that you have synced back to the central repository, they will all be synced back down to your device. Okay. So I've got a use case here. This is with the ITE. Actually, they are far more ahead of COVID times. They wanted to give the flexibility to their teaching faculty to be able to work at home. So basically, as I was saying to you, so these lecturers will work from home on their home PC, whatever. And when they're connected online, anything that they have done, they will all be synced back through the central repository. Okay, so I have got a quick video here again to show you this one. Basically, just to say to you, on the right-hand side is actually where I'm going to show you the syncing. And the left-hand side is just basically to show you, as I sync on the left-hand side on your web portal, you can see the upload itself, okay? So basically for you, this is on the desktop agent that you're doing your syncing. You choose the files and the folders that you want to sync, right? And then you literally click onto this sync button, right? And then when you're done, you will see a green tick against the document itself, meaning that these are the folders and documents that you have chosen to sync. And now, as you can see, they've all been synced into the, it's reflected in the web portal there. Okay, in terms of deployment itself, pretty standard. So we have three choices of option here, three options here: on-prem, a cloud, or a hybrid. So on-prem obviously being the most secure, 100% on your premise. It can be a physical VM, physical server, I beg your pardon, or a VM. Cloud, obviously you're hosting here on the cloud. You can do a hybrid here. This is good if you're doing some capacity planning or modernizing your infra, right? So basically you're leveraging your on-prem and your cloud options here. Now, in terms of architecture, okay, so this is the one that I was telling you about. On the right-hand side, the enterprise architecture, the air gap architecture, as we call it. So basically, EasiShare is built on a Microsoft technology. It's a three-tier design. There's a web, there's an app, and a DB server. So together, this will form one, what we call a platform set. So on the enterprise side, basically what you're seeing here is you've got one set of platform here. And then on the DMZ zone, you also have another set of the platform, right? So what's the difference between these two is on the standard architecture, literally it's one platform set, only plus one web server here. So for this one, basically what we're saying is at no point at all is the public ever going to access into your intranet. Anything that you send out to the public will be sitting inside this DMZ zone, and that's where the public will pick it up. Or if you are requesting document from the public to be sent back to you, the public will send and sits inside this DMZ zone, and then that's where you're going to be picking up from the document from the DMZ zone, right? So that's what we call the air gap architecture, and this being fair to say, mostly our commercial customers tends to choose this standard architecture. And last but not least, to provide you with a holistic solution, right? With us being a data security. So as you can see here, we are all mainly, we have chosen the best of class in this cybersecurity space to complement our offering here. So we have got antivirus, you've got CDR, and then all the storage environment that I've told you about, that we have got about 90% of the storage environment. So they are all also down there. And then if you got a SIEM, example of Splunk, right? So we can export all the audit logs into Splunk for you to do the analysis work. or we also got data protection here, right? So basically we are talking about your certificates here, your encryption certificates, and etc. And on the semantic search, basically what we're saying, if you want to do any, not just your usual file search, but any more deeper kind of search, we do have the ability to set up. It's basically it's an AI-based search, which we can set up with our partner. And last but not least, the most important point here is RESTful API that we have here. We can integrate with your business systems, right? So normally we'll say we just need a document from you and somebody, an expert on that system, and then we'll use the API to connect to the systems for you guys. All right. Okay, I've come to the end of my presentation. I'm actually going to be handing back to Victoria.
Thank you, Bruce and Aaron. Okay, so before I move on to the Q&A session, because right now we are a bit overrun, I'd just like to launch a quick poll, okay, to find out which of the solutions presented earlier would you like to explore further. So please help us to participate in the poll so we can follow up with you after the webinar. Now I would like to invite the Matterport and Inspire Tech team back on screen for the Q&A session. So if you have any burning questions right now, please type them in the Q&A tab or chat box and we'll address them now. Okay, so we'll just start off with the first question for today. First question of today, can we get a sample of the Matterpacks and how do we get them? Matterport team?
Sure, I guess I'll take that if that's okay, Alex. Yeah, very, very easy. And actually, Alex, I will use your help here. Can you drop into the chat? On our support page, we have a link to information about the Matterpack, and included in that informational pack or in the support page are 3 examples at the bottom, and you can download the Matterpacks for those 3 examples. One's done with a Pro 2 camera, one with a BLK 360, and one that's done a combination of the 2. And we can certainly follow up with anybody who's got questions about that, but it's really straightforward. So we'll drop that link into the chat now.
Yep, got it. I just dropped that into the chat.
Great, and it basically links to a set of downloadable assets that you can grab.
Okay, thank you. The next question is also for Matterport. What other file formats does Matterport support, and can we import them into the Matterport cloud?
Sure. So there's basically, it's kind of a complicated answer, but so with Matterport, you obviously get what I showed you, the 3D walkthrough, the model there. The Matterpack includes the .obj, so you have your 3D mesh and you got a colorized point cloud that can be downloaded. We actually are in the process of providing an opportunity to get an E57 file. Now, I didn't know what an E57 file was until I was told that we were going to have this, but I guess it's many of you may know this is a industry agnostic or non-proprietary file format for point clouds. And part of that is because the Matterpack, when you download that, it actually is a decimated point cloud, meaning that we've reduced the size of the data to make it much more easy to manage. These aren't terabyte files, these are megabytes, or maybe a few gig, depending on the size. And so we've done that on purpose to make this a much more lightweight solution. For those that need a higher level of detail, higher LOD, a higher density point cloud, we will have the opportunity of generating E57 files. If you're interested in that, I would suggest contacting CSG and Alex, and we can help you.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Inspire Tech on EasiShare. Is EasiShare available as an on-premise solution or cloud hosted?
Yes, we are. So we do have a SaaS model if you need to. This is actually hosted in Singapore itself, Singapore hosted cloud solution. And as I was saying just now earlier on in the presentation, so we do have the on-prem, the cloud, or the hybrid option, deployment option as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. One more question. Is there a file size limit in EasiShare? And does EasiShare have agents for Android and iOS mobile phones and tablets?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, so we do support the iOS and the Android. So you can use your tablet, your mobile phone, right? And on top of the 3 options that I showed you just now, right? On your desktop, your browser, any browser that is HTML5 compatible, you can use those browsers, right? And then we also have got the Outlook plugin. And in terms of file size, again, I emphasize large files. We already tested up to 100 GB, and there is in theory no file size limit that you can send.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
I have another question for Matterport, for Bruce. How easy is it to scan an entire building like the example that you showed on the bank of Italy? And how long will it take? How big is the file?
Okay, that's 3 questions. You're only allowed 1. Okay, so so the process is very easy. We built our technology to be not require like you have a surveying engineering degree or anything like that. The camera has 2 buttons, a power button and a battery meter button. That's it. You're actually using our Matterport capture app to control the camera. So the process is simple. 330,000 customers, we've never trained any of them. And the reason is, again, it is very easy. You're basically point and click, you walk through, you move the camera along on a tripod and you just capture the space. You don't need to do any manual syncing or manual linking of those data points. So the process is really, really very straightforward. How long does it take? So it depends on the complexity of the space. So it can range from residential properties where you have a lot of nooks and crannies and rooms and things of that nature. You're probably looking around 300 or so square meters in an hour. When you get into a commercial property or a warehouse or a larger industrial, you can get 500, 600 square meters in an hour. It kind of depends. Also depends on the density of the spaces, what you're going to do with it, the use case. So I'm sorry, I know it's a long answer. But it kind of depends, but that should give you, kind of a rough idea. We have seen clients actually do it much faster if they don't need kind of all of the kind of reference points along the way. So we can take that offline to discuss that even further. And how big is the file size? That also depends because it's about the amount of data that's being captured, but I would say it's pretty light. In fact, Alex, I don't know if we have a support page link that talks about file size. Because again, it depends on the size of the property. And Lihao, I don't know if you or the team know that answer. That's one I should have kind of ready to go.
Right. No, actually, I think the question basically was asking about how big the file would be residing on your maybe machine like that. So Again, in theory,
right.
We need to talk maybe about a subscription, and everything's on a cloud, so it really doesn't take up any much space.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, Lee, you're correct. So there's 2 aspects. One, if you're downloading the 3D data assets for offline work, then yes, then we can talk about the file size for that. It's been decimated, so it makes it pretty light. But for the core value proposition of Matterport, the walkthrough and virtual tour, there's zero. It's a hosted solution, so there's no data that needs to be residing on your side.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, thanks. I kind of jumped to the output of the matter pack.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. I'll just take hold on, just one more. Okay, this is another 3 more questions. How easy it is for us to use the design intent dropping of furniture into the Matterport virtual space?
Okay. So again, I hope with all these questions, do we know who the person is asking? Because there's kind of the quick answer and then there's the follow-up. So the quick answer is,
right.
the quick answer is, it depends if you want to build this application yourself or use a third party. So there are a few companies now that have built virtual staging applications that you can use to, and some of them even have libraries of 3D data objects. Like that video I showed you is from a company in Australia. And how long does it take? I staged an example. It's drag and drop is the quick answer. I mean, it takes minutes to stage a property because it's drag and drop. Yeah, if you want to build this yourself, there is the toolkit to do that, and that's probably the longer question. But we can certainly take that offline.
Okay, I'll just take the last question for today. Can the 3D walkthrough be downloaded?
So great question. We get that a lot. So the experience of that walkthrough, the virtual tour and all that, that is something that you're getting delivered through a web server. So that's through our showcase application, delivered again on any device that's connected to the internet. And it's because there's a lot of technology it's not a video. You're not watching like a sequential video. So that experience is something that you need to see and be delivered via a connected device. There is the 3D data assets that I talked about that can be downloaded separately, but not that virtual walkthrough and experience.
Okay, thank you. So I will end the Q&A session for now. Sorry for the.
Oh yeah, sorry. There was one more question that is inside the chat box from Mahesh. For Point Cloud CAD application, hosting is not required. So how does that work?
Yeah, okay, so Mikesh, it's great. You're asking lots of great questions. I think we definitely need to talk after this to answer them all in great complex detail. So the way the Matterport model works is that you have a subscription and your spaces are either active or archived. If you really are only looking at extracting the 3D data, you're actually able to archive the space. If you're not going to use the virtual walkthrough and you only want to look at the 3D data components and put that into your CAD or your design software. So in which case you need to have an active account in order to generate the model, in order to create the matter pack, but then you could actually then archive that and then just use the output.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. By the way, we will definitely get in touch with you after the webinar as well. Okay, so if there's nothing else, thank you everyone for joining us today, for staying with us throughout the entire webinar. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.